Good evening, YouTube subscribers. This is my live stream of my improvisational comedy show called Keep Laughing. Tonight's improvisation, I would like to have you imagine that. Okay, so let's say that the show Grey's Anatomy. Let's say that they're filming a scene wherever the fuck they film the show, and they're in the middle of filming a scene, and along comes me, an interloper who wanders onto the set and interrupts the filming of their scene for good reason, for very good reason. I have a request. I want to be a new character on this show. I know it's not. It may not be customary to just wander onto the set of the filming of a scene of a television show, but I think you won't be disappointed if you give me a shot at this. Now, I'm kind of a self-taught actor. I took 2 acting classes in college as an elective, but I never really had any formal acting training. I just kind of taught myself. And also I've written the part, and also I took it upon myself to. I didn't go to medical school, and I didn't earn a PhD in medicine. I didn't pass the what do they call the medical exam to be a doctor. But I have all the training that a doctor has, and then some. I've got some like theoretical ideas and some. I put a lot of I put a lot of thought into my theories on modern medicine and how it can be improved, and what types of like innovative types of therapies can be developed, and medicines, and like different medicinal cocktails that can combine to eradicate many different types of medical conditions. And so I may not have a PhD or speak in eloquent philosophy. Now that's a line that I borrowed from a Katy Perry song. That's one of the first songs she ever wrote. It's on her first album. It's just called Katie Hudson. It's on a song called what's the song called again? It goes, you would think no, 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 no. Or speak. I may not have a PhD or speak in eloquent philosophy. What you see is all only me, or whatever the fuck. It's a great. Oh, it's on the first Katie Hudson album. So I just borrowed a line from that. So that's another good idea. When I wander onto the set of Grey's Anatomy with my Grey's Anatomy book in hand, I could sing the Katy Perry song to them. And that's kind of like my pitch to get the role. I'll say like, you would think, no, how's it go again? I may not have a PhD or speak in eloquent philosophy, whatever, however it goes. You would think, or no, I may not have a PhD or speak in eloquent philosophy, but I'm kind of a quasi physician, kind of a quasi doctor. I learned it all on my own. I just I memorized Grey's Anatomy, and I've got my own theories and my own like innovative ideas for how to take medicine into the modern era and take the field of medicine into the modern era. And so that's kind of like my resume to be a new character. And also I'll write my character into your already existing script. So how's that? Not too shabby, huh? So anyway, so let's just say that, okay, so here's the scenario. I'm accepted as a character on Grey's Anatomy. And I'm a doctor who also gives lectures in the evening at the local university. Let's say it's douchebag university. No, I don't know, just kidding. Whatever it's called. And here's my lecture. And let me go get my Grey's Anatomy book. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with, how about the eye? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Hmm. Uh, where the fuck is the eye? Okay, all right, let's see. It's a long book, so it's long and somewhat dry and boring. So I like to put some analysis into it to try to color it and to make it more interesting and insightful. I mean, I like to um, put my own insight into these. Um, okay, into these anatomical things. And okay, wait a minute. Where the? I'm just trying to find. Okay. Where the fuck is the eye? Where the fuck is the eye? Why am I having such a hard time finding this? Okay, there you go. Here we are. The eye. The eyeball is contained in the cavity of the orbit. In this situation, it is securely protected from injury, whilst its position is such as to ensure the most extensive range of sight. It is acted upon by numerous muscles, by which it is capable of being directed into different parts. It is supplied by vessels and nerves, and is additionally protected in front by several appendages, such as the eyebrow, eyelids, etc. So don't ever shave your eyebrows off because they do serve a purpose. You're supposed to have them. It's not just like left over from the caveman or something. So I don't know why they shave their eyebrows off, but I wouldn't recommend that. Okay. Um, the eyeball is embedded in the fat of the orbit, but is surrounded by a thin membranous sac, the capsule of tenon, which isolates it so as to allow of free movement. The capsule of tenon consists of a thin membrane which envelops the eyeball from the optic nerve to the ciliary region, separating it from the orbital fat and forming a socket in which it plays. Its inner surface is smooth and is in contact with the outer surface of the sclerotic, the periosclerotic, lymph space, or only intervening. The lymph space is continuous with the subdural and subarachnoid spaces and is transversed by delicate bands of connective tissue which extend between the capsule and the sclerotic. So, this is fascinating. So, just think about it. Like the light from an object leaves that object and it travels. What does it travel through? The light from an object through empty space? What is empty space? What is dark matter? But it travels through. And so the speed of light is like, the speed at which light travels is, I've heard it's like 6 trillion miles per year. So light speed is like 6 trillion miles a year. So at that rate, if it travels to your eye, just think about how fast it goes. If an object's like 100 feet away, how fast that light reaches your eye. And once it's in your eye, so it's practically instantaneous. And once it, reaches it goes through the retina, and it travels along the optic nerve, and then the image, the light, but it's light, okay? So it's like, that brings me to another philosophical question. So it's like, I've learned that what you're seeing is like it's the light leaving an object that travels into your eye, and so what's in these molecules of light? These molecules of light are technically termed photons. So do these photons arrange themselves into a pattern that exactly replicates the object that you are seeing? Travels along the optic nerve into the occipital lobe of your brain, and then an image is formed in your brain. And are you seeing something outside of your brain, or is what you're seeing merely the product of the workings of your brain? Does your brain manufacture the image that you're seeing in the occipital lobe, or does the image actually even really exist outside the somewhat esoteric vision within your brain? I mean, the image that is formed, that is created by your brain, if that didn't exist, then would that image exist itself? I mean, if nobody was alive, if the human race was completely wiped out, do these objects still exist? Because the objects really, I mean, how could something really exist if nobody's there to see it? I don't know. So, that's a pretty deep question. I'm going to go to the brain now. The brain. Okay. What part of the brain do you want to talk about? Let's see. Okay. The brain. General considerations and divisions. The encephalon, or brain, is that portion of the cerebrospinal axis which is contained in the cavity of the cranium. For purposes of description, it may be divided into 5 parts as follows. 1. The 2 cerebral hemispheres. 2. The inner brain. 3. The midbrain. 4. The pons varolii and cerebellum. And 5. The medulla oblongata. I remember that from my college days. If the student will refer to the section of the development of the brain, he will find that these 5 portions correspond fairly accurately to the 5 secondary cerebral vesicles, of which the brain is at an early period of embryonal life consisted the pre-encephalon, or first vesicle, by means of a protrusion from its front part on either side, forms the cerebral hemispheres and the lateral ventricles. The remainder of the prosencephalon, together with the second vesicle, the thalamencephalon, form the inner brain and third ventricle. The third vesicle, the mesencephalon, forms the midbrain, or that portion which connects the inner brain and the hemispheres above the pons varolii below, and the cavity of the vesicle forms the aqueduct of Sylvius, or inner arterio ad quartum ventriculum. The fourth vesicle, the encephalon, becomes the future pons varolii and cerebellum, and its cavity from the upper half of the fourth ventricle, and finally the fifth vesicle. The melencephalon develops in the medulla oblongata. In its cavity, vesicle, the melencephalon develops into the medulla oblongata, and its cavity forms the lower half of the fourth ventricle. It thus is seen that the 5 divisions of the encephalon mentioned above correspond to the 5 secondary cerebral vesicles, with the exception of the first 2, which together form the cerebral hemispheres in the inner brain. In consequence of these 2 portions of the brain are sometimes grouped together as cerebrum. The hemispheres of the brain. I'm going to go to the this is my section I really like. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Weight of the encephalon. The average weight of the brain in the adult male is 49.5 ounces, or a little more than 3 pounds avoirdupois. That of the female, 44 ounces. The average difference between the two being from 5 to 6 ounces. The prevailing weight of the brain in the male ranges from between 46 ounces and 53 ounces, and in the female between 41 ounces and 47 ounces. In the male, the maximum weight out of 278 cases was 65 ounces. And the minimum weight, 34 ounces. The maximum weight of the adult female brain out of 191 cases was 56 ounces, and the minimum weight was 31 ounces. According to Lushka, the average weight of adults of a man's brain is 1,424 grams, about 45 ounces, of a woman's 1,272 grams, about 41 ounces, and according to Krauss, 1,570 grams, about 48.5 ounces for the male, and 1,350, about 43 ounces for the female. It appears that the weight of the brain increases rapidly up to the 7th year, more slowly to between 16 and 20, and still more slowly to between 30 and 40, when it reaches its maximum. Beyond this period, as age advances and the mental facilities decline, the mental faculties, the brain diminishes slowly in weight, about an ounce for each subsequent decennial period. The The results apply alike to both sexes. The size of the brain was formerly said to bear a general relation to the intellectual capacity of the individual. Cuvier's brain weighed more than 64 ounces. That of the late Dr. Abercrombie, 63 ounces, and that of Dupuytren, 62.5 ounces. On the other hand, the brain of an idiot seldom weighs more than 23 ounces. But these facts are by no means conclusive. It is well known that these weights have been equaled by the brains of persons who never displayed any remarkable intellect. Dr. Helden of Cincinnati has recorded the case of mulatto, whatever this is. Dr. Ensnor, district medical officer at Port Elizabeth, reports that the brain of Carrie, an Irish informer, weighed 61 ounces. Has published an article on the subject of the weight of brains in Navasi. According to him, the weight of the brain has no influence whatever on the mental faculties. It ought to be remembered the significance of the weight of the brain should depend upon the portion of it bears, the dimensions of the whole body, and the age of the individual. It's equally important to know that what the cause of the death was, for long illness or old age, exhausts the brain. To define the real degree of development of the brain is therefore necessary to have a knowledge of the condition of the whole body, and this is usually lacking. The mere record of the weight possesses little significance. The human brain is heavier than that of all the lower animals, excepting the elephant and the whale. The brain of the former weighs from 8 to 10 pounds, and that of the whale, the specimen 75 feet long, weighed rather more than 5 pounds. Cerebral vocalization and topography, physiological and pathological research have now come. For to prove that the surface of the brain may be met down into a series of definite areas, each one of which is intimately connected to well-defined function. And this is especially true with regard to the convolutions on either side of the fission of Rolando. Okay. Which are believed by most physiologists of the present day to be concerned in motion. Those grouped around the fissure associated with the movements of the extremities of the opposite side of the body, and those around the lower end of the fissure being related to the movements of the mouth and the tongue. Let's see, let's go to another page. Let's see. Longitudinal fissure. The corresponding line drawn from the globule of the root of the nose, the external occipital protuberance. The fissure is the position. Okay.